Hey y'all, so I wanted to give you a true story of some personal bullying that happened to me as an RN. I know we're doing a lot of talking about bullying in the workplace as far as nurses go. And I realized I'd never shared any of my personal experiences. So I'm going to share this with you, and then I'm going to share a very funny but gross nursing story with you. So when I first started out as a nurse, I worked on pediatrics for a little bit, and then I started working on PCU. So PCU is like the step down unit between ICU and the med-surg floor. And I had a great preceptor. Her name was Shasta, and she was the only good preceptor that I ever had. And so we were there, we were working the day shift, and we were there at 6:45 at the desk and waiting to get report from the night nurse. And Shasta and I had actually walked into the hospital together. She clocked in first, I clocked in right behind her, and we went on in to put our stuff away, and we were there ready to get report. And so this young nurse comes along and she says, "Oh my gosh, she could get here just a little bit earlier for report." And she goes, "Excuse me, but we're not required to be here until 6:45. Well, I'm always ready to get report at 6:30. So if she could get here at 6:30 and be ready for report, that would be great." And Shasta goes, "No, she doesn't have to be. She's not required to. It's all well and good if you want to be here at 6:30, but we're not going to get here until 6:45. So give us report." And, I don't know what could be in a person to, number one, just be that downright mean. And secondly, to talk about your new coworker who's going to be, working with you, and you're going to be giving and taking report from this person. And you're going to sit there and talk smack about her when she's sitting right there. I don't get it. And, the today me would have jumped down her throat. But then, I was a new nurse. I was new in that hospital, and I didn't want to stir the pot. So, but luckily my preceptor took up for me. And so that's one of the bullying experiences that I had. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I'm going to share some more with y'all. But the other story that came to mind today is kind of a gross but funny story. And this is with the same preceptor. And I was just getting acclimated to the floor, and there was this lady that had come in. She had been in a bad car accident, and she needed to have a bed bath. And our CNAs, our CNAs are always overworked, just like we are, y'all. She had been tied up all day with other things going on. And so I told Shasta, I said, "I don't mind doing it, if we don't have a whole lot going on right now." Shasta goes, "Great, I'll go catch up on some charting while you go do that." And so I go in the room, and I walk into the room, and I notice that there's this smell. And it wasn't a poopy smell. It was, I couldn't put my finger on it. And so I went up to the bed, and I was, explaining to her that I was going to, help her get cleaned up and change her bed sheets and all of that. And y'all, I pulled that blanket off, and the smell that came out from under that blanket gagged me to the point I thought I was going to throw up on her. And I had to excuse myself, and I went out to the nurse's desk, and I found my preceptor, and I said, "Shasta," I said, "it smells like something is dead in that room, and it is so disgusting that I can barely breathe." And I said I had to get out of there before I threw up on her. And so she kind of started giggling. I said, "No," I said, "I'm serious. There's something wrong in that room." And so Shasta goes, "Okay, well, let me go in there with you." She said, "Let's go into the supply room, and let's get, the wash basin and some towels and that sort of thing. And so Shasta walks in with me, and she goes in the room, and, you know, we're playing it off. We're trying not to make faces. And so Shasta puts the stuff down, and she says, "Oh, let me show you where the other stuff is." And so I follow her out of the room, and she goes, "I know that smell." And so she calls one of the doctors. And so the doctor comes in, and he is asking her some questions. And he says, "Well, do you mind if I have a gynecologist come in here and do a GYN exam on you? Because, you know, we smell this odor, and it smells like an infection. And, you know, with you having been in the car wreck and just had surgery, you know, it's real important." And he said, "I kind of know what that smell is." He said, "But I want a GYN to come in here and do the exam." So she agreed to it. So Shasta and I are then preparing for that. And she's showing me how to set up and everything. And we're in the room when the doctor is doing this exam. And God have mercy, y'all. Shasta had already given me this stuff to put up under my nose. She had some Vicks, something or other, in her purse. I had on a double mask. And y'all, when that lady's legs went up, I have never in my life smelled something so stinking bad. So the doctor is doing his exam, and y'all, he pulls something out of her, and he puts it on the little tray, and he wheels the table around to this patient, and he goes, "Would you happen to know what this is?" And she goes, "Oh my God, I forgot I had that in there. Oh my God." And he said, "Well, what is it?" And she says, "It's drugs, man. It's drugs. You ain't gonna call the police on me, are you?" He said, "Ma'am, we have to call the police at this point." And so anyway, he finishes up what he's doing. And y'all, I can still smell it to this day. I would go into telling you or describing to you how this thing looked. And it was a condom that was full of crack cocaine. And she said that it had been up in her for probably about a month. Y'all, how she could smell that and not remember that she had put something in her hoo-ha. I don't know. Anyway, guys, the police came. She was arrested. They're in the hospital. They did handcuff her to the bed. There was a police officer that was posted outside of her door from that point on. But y'all, I don't know how much crack was in there, but it was a good size. Yeah. But she forgot it was there, y'all. She just forgot it was there. But anyway, those are my two stories, a bullying story and a kind of gross, kind of funny story. And I've got one more for you. Let me tell you this one. So I was working as a patient care tech. I was in nursing school, and I had never taken care of a dead body before. And so I was assigned to go with the experienced or the senior CNA. He was going through paramedic school. Young kid, probably in his 20s. I was almost 40. And so we load the patient up, and we take her out of the room to a different room where we clean her up, and they're notifying the family, and we're just going to clean her up real good, make sure all the tape is off, put a clean gown on her, and take her back to the room and close the door. So as we're cleaning this body, this guy says, "Okay, let's roll her over towards you, and then I'll wash her backside." And he's giggling the whole time, y'all. And I'm like, okay. And I have on Crocs, y'all. I had on Crocs, with the little holes in them. So he pushes, and I pull the body towards me up on the side. And this sound came out of this body, y'all. And it was, you know, gas, like when you burp. And all of a sudden, bloop, stomach contents come out of this body over the side of the bed and onto my shoes. And this guy is over there cackling and laughing like nobody's business, y'all. So that was my first experience cleaning a dead body. So anyway, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed those 3 stories. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, y'all.